October 31, 1899, The Washington Observer, Washington, Pennsylvania. The Night of All Hallows. Its druidical origin and its evolution. Directions for its proper observance. All the world of young people, especially if they have a drop of good English, Scotch, or Irish blood in their veins, knows that All Hallows Eve falls on the last day of October, and that on that eventful night, great secrets may be unearthed by the curious. It is then that supernatural influences prevail, that spirits issue from the bosom of the vasty deep, and sheeted ghosts may squeak and gibber about the streets if so inclined. Properly entreated on this one fateful night of all the year, the veil of futurity may be rent, vouchsafing glimpses to the maiden and to the youth of the marital fate in store for them. Halloween is always observed in Washington in many and various ways. The mischief makers will doubtless be abroad tonight, and boys' pranks will be played. To some citizens, the last night of October is looked forward to as a night of terror. By the youth, however, it is the one night of the year when, by an almost unwritten law, they are given full liberty. It is also a night of pleasure, when the young people gather to tell weird stories, play old country games, and make tests of marital prospects. Just how and when this popular superstition regarding Halloween took form is one of the unsolved problems, but it is safe to surmise that its origin dates back to pagan days. One of the religious rites of the Druids consisted in keeping great fires lighted throughout the year on an immense stone altar in honor of the sun god. On the night of October 31, the people would assemble in the sacred grove. The priests would come before them in their snow-white robes, and in the midst of absolute silence, solemnly extinguish the fire. New fires were then kindled, upon which, not infrequently, human sacrifices were offered. Then, in the coal and ashes, nuts and apples were roasted, which were consumed by the worshippers, after which each householder betook himself to his own home, carrying an ember from off the altar with him. This new fire set burning in each house was believed to protect the home from peril, so long as it continued burning. With the lapse of years, the heathen festivals lost their grandeur and assumed a lower character, until by a natural transition the Halloween fire came to be looked upon as a charm against evil spirits. Even as late as the last century, it was customary in Wales, England, and Scotland for the farmer to make the circuit of his farm, brandishing a lighted torch and chanting some hymn as a protection to his acres during the coming year, while even today in some regions, Halloween is celebrated by building bonfires and roasting nuts and apples. From Burns' inimitable poem on Halloween may be gathered accurate ideas of how the fateful night was celebrated in his day, and its observance is still the same. If the young woman would know about her lovers, 3 nuts are named, one for herself, and the other 2 for her lovers, and placed upon the grate. If one nut crack, that lover will prove unfaithful. If another burns, that lover is deeply interested. If the 2 jump toward each other, it means rivalry, while if the nuts named for the young woman and one of the men burn quietly, side by side, there is no doubt that Cupid smiles upon them, and they will be married at an early date. October 30, 1948, The Freelance Star, Fredericksburg, Virginia. Halloween has lurid story dating far back in history. The history of Halloween might well have been brewed in a bubbling cauldron by a chanting, black-robed witch, for Halloween is an unbelievable mixture of ancient festivals, medieval superstition, and Christian belief. According to the World Book Encyclopedia's research experts, Halloween is the direct descendant of a harvest festival eve celebrated in Britain by the Druids long before the Christian era. The night before the festival was called All Souls' Eve, and on this night, Samhain, the Lord of Death, called together all the souls of wicked men who had been condemned to inhabit the bodies of animals. The Druids believed that Samhain then decided the forms the condemned souls should take for the next year. The belief that evil spirits roam among men on Halloween can be traced to this Druidic gathering of the souls. The researchers claim that the Druids were responsible for linking the cat with evil on Halloween. The Druids believed that cats were human beings who were changed into animals for some misdeed. This superstition took many forms, and later, cats were standard equipment for anyone who practiced witchcraft. When Caesar's legions invaded Britain, the Roman feast of Pomona mingled with the Druidic celebration. Pomona was the goddess of the autumn harvest. Nuts and apples were eaten at her festival. To this day, nuts and apples have a place in Halloween festivities. In an effort to curb the pagan aspect of this evening, the early Christian church set aside November 1st as All Saints' Day. The evening before was then called Hallowed Evening, which was corrupted to Halloween. Throughout the years, the legends and superstitions grew. The origin of the jack-o'-lantern can be traced to Ireland. The legend says that a man named Jack was barred from heaven because he was stingy. When Jack got to hell, the devil refused to admit him because, as a human, Jack had played practical jokes on Satan. So, the stingy practical joker was condemned to walk the streets with a lantern until Judgment Day. Waxing windows comes from the British chalkback day. Street ruffians would chalk backs of adults with circles to indicate that the rule of the summer sun was over. Children in ancient times were quick to see that Halloween superstition offered many opportunities for mischief. If gates disappeared and horses and cattle were mysteriously turned loose, the townfolk blamed it on spooks and ghosts. At the time, it was believed that wicked souls took the form of adults, so the children began dressing as grown-ups. If anyone saw the costumed youngsters engaged in a prank, the spook would be blamed. This was the beginning of costumes for Halloween.